From absolute altitude to true airspeed. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm Jason Burns.
And I'm Danny Nucci, and this is the What About podcast.
Our guest today, Peder Lindell, is 21 years old, but I feel like he is more mature than anybody we've spoken to.
Certainly more mature than us. I mean, that's
100%.
I mean, not that that's saying much, but wow, that kid really just had wonderful disposition.
My daughter recently discovered these amazing Disney dance movies, and she's 7, and she has just been all in. So when this came up, literally within like a week of her like discovering these movies, and she's like, now when the guys and the girls kiss, she's like, ooh, she's getting all like into it and stuff like that. She was so excited. So
oh, God bless her. Yeah, I mean, I watched these with my daughter. I mean, they were entertaining. There was little secret messages for the adults, which were great. Which keep it entertaining. And I mean, this kid, I mean, he is just terrific, man. What a sweet dude, and intelligent, and yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait to see him in it. I really want to see all the work come together.
Yeah, 100%. The dance numbers in these movies are always incredible. So I want to see that. And also, you feel like after talking to him, I feel like we're on the cusp of seeing this kid become something. You know what I mean? It's exciting.
So without further ado, the talented and articulate Peder Lindell. I mean, no wonder you're doing well. A minute early. I mean, this kid has got it already. He's got it together. I mean, no wonder. It's not a shock. Look
I'm
at
on
you.
time. I'm happy to be here.
Punctual.
Well, you actually have a whole lot of Disney press today, right? Yeah. So were you first?
Yep, you guys are top of the morning. We're heading over to VidCon soon, and we're gonna do some panels and stuff, which should be fun. So,
where are you? Are you here in La La Land?
I'm in the La La Land. I was in Minnesota. This is where I'm from originally, but I flew in about a week ago and heading out this Saturday, and then I'm back in a week. And
yeah, you're on the tour.
Yep. It's been good.
Yeah, sure.
So you visit Minnesota when it's warm and you get out when it's cold, or do you like?
I love the cold, actually. I love the snow. A lot of people hate it. And don't get me wrong, like if you're there and it's cold and there's no snow, it's quite depressing. But if you have the snow, it's really beautiful.
If it's cold and there's no snow, it's quite depressing.
I am not sensing any Minnesota accent.
No, well,
I'm trying to listen.
I'll bring it out.
I don't get it.
If you want. It's in the O's. It's there. It's like, oh no. Yeah, you can talk to my aunt and uncle. I mean, you probably never will, but if you were to talk to them,
you don't know who we talk to. We're vast, man.
Well,
we cover a lot of ground.
You would hear something like, "Oh, I was up in my cabin. He was talking about like the neighbor's leaves. I don't know why, but he was like, oh, the neighbor's leaves they blew into my yard and they didn't do anything about them."
There it is.
And it's like that. It's scary.
Well, Peder, you grew up in Minnesota, like you said. Is that where the acting bug bit? Is that where it started?
Did, yeah. There were all sorts of bugs that bit over there, including the mosquitoes.
Whoa, especially in the summer,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, so I guess I have to thank him partially for my success. But yeah, I grew up acting professionally. I started when I was maybe 11.
A lot of work there in Minnesota. I mean, are you from the St. Paul or Twin Cities area? I mean, because obviously that's a big city.
It
right?
is, yeah. I'm about 45 minutes south in a town called Northfield, small town, like surrounded by farm fields. But yeah, it's
but close enough that you can go in and work if you need to.
Totally. It's I believe it's the highest number of theaters per capita in a city in the United States.
Well, that's the thing about Minneapolis, a big theater town, which I don't know if people know that it's a wonderful tradition of theater.
100%,
there.
yeah.
Why is that? Does anybody know? Do you?
Well, because
know?
I don't know, but it's like a theater going town in the same way that Chicago is.
Yeah.
It's just it has that. And I think the quality of the work there and the productions there have been historically. Ernie Hudson did theater there. Spoke very highly of the theater community there. But we digress. So when did you tell your mom? Was it your dad? Who was the one going, you should try this? Was it you? Were you just a TV fan? I'm going to let you answer the question in a second. Were you, was this something did you perform at home? When did you go, I want to do this more, or I want to do this professionally?
I think it was after maybe my first or second professional show I just became addicted to it. And yeah, I
Wait,
actually,
well, hold on, hold on. Well, pause. I promise I'll let you speak, Peter. But what do you mean? So the first two professional shows you were just thrown in, like, all right, maybe I like this, maybe I don't. Like, how did they put an 11-year-old kid who has an opinion into theater?
I don't know. You gotta have a little charisma and be a little pushy, maybe. But
Your folks were you were interested in it? It sounded
I
fun.
was. Yeah, I mean, I was a young theater kid and I wanted to do something more than just like a theater camp or singing in choir. I grew up going to this one theater in Minneapolis called the Children's Theater Company, and I distinctly remember watching all of their shows. And they had it's a children's theater show, so there were a lot of kids in it. And I was like, where are these kids coming from? Are they flying them out from New York? Like, what's going on here? And when I found out that they were local and that they were incredible, I was like, whoa, I could do this.
You're like, I could do that.
And I did. And it was, man, I mean, that was just the beginnings of where my mind became blown that
But
I
you're
could.
also you're of the internet generation, Peter. What was the idea of
Can you say that like
kids
more
your
of an
age?
old person, please? Just for
Yeah,
shit's
with
sake.
my walker
Well,
scraping across the
you're
floor.
part of the whole internet generation.
I just
You know what
mean
buttons
you don't
are.
have
You
to
know
be.
the TikToks and whatnot.
Jesus Christ.
You don't have to be in LA and in New York to act. You don't have to be there to be exposed to the world. Were you like following people on TikTok, on Instagram, all these people that were like doing it without having to be
There
in
was no
the city
TikTok
for
when he
success?
was 11. That I can
Yeah,
tell you.
it was like musically or something, right?
Musically, of course it was. It was musically. That's exactly what it was.
Yeah, exactly. You didn't know that, Jason? Come on.
I don't know anything, Peter. That's why I'm doing this.
Yeah, you're still in the MySpace world. That's okay.
That's true. That's where I met my wife.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I had a lot of inspirations growing up. They never came from like the typical like TikTok or social media. It was local legends in the Minneapolis area that inspired me to keep going. It's the people who who truly love the craft and aren't there for the fame or the money
I like
because
that.
it's like some of the most incredible actors I've ever worked with, and they never really left Minnesota. You know, they never decided to go beyond that, partially because I think they were completely satisfied in the art and the craft that they were doing there. So I think perhaps I found that sort of passion for the craft there, but there's always been something in me that's wanted a bit more to explore the world, and that's what brought me out to LA.
Which you do via Instagram. Oh my God, you're as active as.
Hold on, before we get into
Yeah.
his
Yeah, I
international
know.
adventures, which I want to ask you about. No, we're gonna go there. Don't kid yourself. No, before that, you're doing it professionally now in Minneapolis from age 11 and through high school.
yeah.
Are you doing high school plays as well? Are you just immersed in this? You're loving it. This is your life. This is what you do. Are you playing sports? What kind of extracurricular are you doing besides performing?
Yeah, I was all over the place. I found a bunch of different passions growing up, but the funny thing is, I was doing like 8 shows a week in school, so I was
I was
missing
gonna say, yeah,
I was
gonna
missing
say,
school like 2 3 times in the week sometimes. So I was like doing some online stuff, but then I grew up playing. I played soccer, hockey, baseball, wrestling, ultimate frisbee, lacrosse, all those sports, diving. Um, so I was having tons of fun. Then flying as well, and
that's it. We're gonna get to that as well.
yeah,
Uh,
we're gonna
I mean, there's a lot. I got a lot of questions for you. I mean, at 21, you've jam packed 21. Is that how
21.
old you are?
Yep.
Yeah, you've jam packed a lot of life in those 21 years thus far, which is really really impressive. I mean, just the volume of experiences that you've already had at 21 is impressive. So you did 8 shows a week in the theater professionally in Minneapolis. Is that
Yeah.
right? See, by the way, I've never done 8 shows a week. It scares the friggin' hell out of me, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, just like, just the constant, like you wake up and you're like, I got a
Yeah.
show today. I got a show today. I got 2 shows today. Wednesdays and Sundays, you're like, I
Literally.
got 2 shows. How am I going to do this? And so at some point in high school, you were starting to look at, okay, what am I going to do? And had you started, because you'd started flying there, right?
I started flying when I was about 16, and it was like there was no like decision where I decided that I wanted to keep doing this. It just was my life, and I knew that I loved it, so I kept trucking forward, and LA was the next destination.
Right. So when you looked at colleges, you specifically looked at where you could be active at the same time as
Exactly. Yeah.
oh, nice.
You know, LA's great.
Right
I
there,
mean,
bro. LMU, go Lions.
oh my,
Right there, bro.
well, how did I miss that?
I mean, you got a lot going on, bro. You got a lot of listen. You're in the middle of promoting a film. You get a pass, bro.
That
you
is
get a pass
awesome.
for all.
Did
of
you go
it.
to LMU?
My daughter's at LMU. She's going in. She's going to be a sophomore.
I wonder if I know.
Theater arts.
No.
Small
What are the
world.
odds?
Yeah.
What? That's crazy. Well, I'll see you in the fall.
So you decided to come out to did you look at colleges in California, New York? Where were you looking?
So, I mean, of course I looked like all over, but I really only applied to the ones in LA. Like I was looking at like USC, UCLA, like Cal Arts, Pepperdine, LMU.
Sure.
And why I decided LMU, maybe
Because you visited the campus.
yeah, that.
You chose LMU because you visited the campus. You're like, whoa,
Well, I could live here.
this is
I
all
like
right.
that bluff. It's nice.
Yeah, I mean that bluff is something else, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
No, but it was the combination of the film program and the theater arts program because you're like my roommates, like maybe they're the next Spielberg. You never know.
Yeah.
If they ever do
Sure.
the dishes.
Honestly, that is like what happens when we talk to people who've been in the industry 20, 30 years. They're still working with the people in the periphery of the people that they went to school with, that they were in the same classes with, stuff like that.
And not to make a pitch for Loyola Marymount University, but the way the theater departments and the film departments, and they crisscross, which is great. They aren't so separate. People that work in both, and there's a lot of cross pollination. I don't know what the word is. Help me out, Jason.
something.
I like pollination. That's good.
There's an allegory.
No,
in it.
that's not the right word.
Synergy? Cross synergy?
Forget
All
it.
right.
You know what? Forget it.
Let's talk.
It's early
Let's
for
talk
me.
about Peter more. So, Peter, you're in LA. You're coming here to go to school. Obviously, you're coming here to learn. But did you have an agent to work? And what did your parents think? You're moving pretty far away from home into a big, scary city.
Yeah, I mean, my parents have always trusted me, which has been great. I mean, I grew up traveling with them, so I was familiar of navigating new spaces. But in Minnesota, I got 2 agencies when I was younger, and that was like commercial stuff. And I never really fully got like the extent of the knowledge of which maybe I should have gotten from them. But it was a good first experience. And then they had a partner agency out in LA that I got onto,
That's
and
helpful.
they gave me
That's
one
nice.
audition, and then I never heard from them again. It was quite
Not
silly,
helpful.
to be honest.
Not uncommon,
But-
kid. Not uncommon.
Not uncommon at all. I got out to LA, met another agent, and did stuff with them. Was fantastic. I booked my first audition out in LA with them, and then fast forward a little bit, I booked Descendants, which is incredible, and now I'm with a different agency now, and I have a manager and a publicist, a stylist,
I
and a
bet
lawyer.
that
and-
old agency is calling up and saying, "Hey,
Bro, you're in. Let me tell you something. Peter, you're in, buddy. That's it. You're immersed now.
Yeah.
Look out.
It's a great feeling.
So you started traveling with your parents, right? So is that where your sense of adventure and trying different things? Because I mean, if you look at your Instagram, and also your TikTok, I mean, you're doing a tremendous amount of physical sports like
yeah."
activities.
If I'm your agent, I'm
Motorcycles,
pooping my pants, going,
jumping.
"Please stop jumping out of things."
No, literally.
The
insurance policies are going all the way up.
Oh, forget it, bro. Bro, they're gonna look at you and go, "Okay, you need to sign this right now before we start shooting."
That's so funny. Yeah, that is very true. I mean, my dad's a pilot for United, so that is how I was traveling all the time. I would go on trips with him while he was flying the plane, and I got to explore the whole world. But yeah, I mean, I've always been a fan of adventure too. I mean, I love it. I love being out in nature. I love doing crazy things. Recently, I've been skydiving a lot. That's been
Skydiving a lot. Did you get that, Jay?
So, Peter, as we'll get into, I don't even fly, so jumping out of a plane is not even an option.
well. Staying in one is the typical norm. It's
That's true, yeah. Or just not getting on one at all works as well.
That too, you know? The ground is nice.
So you booked Descendants as a junior.
Was that the first film? No, first. Not theater. Just
No,
film.
I broke into film like maybe 5 years ago. I mean, this is.
Okay, so
I mean, it's hard to top a film of this caliber, but
Sure,
by far
sure.
the first film of this
well, nonetheless,
caliber.
you had experience working with the camera.
Oh, yeah,
and being
for
on
sure,
set and
yeah.
all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to have this film be the first one would have been
No, that would
daunting.
that would have been a bad idea.
Well, it just would have been daunting, you know. You get
Oh, yeah.
because you don't know, like
You're right.
You don't know until you know, right?
Totally.
So did you pump the brakes on school at all, or were you able to juggle both simultaneously?
Well, I took the semester off and went to film. But ever since then, I've been juggling simultaneously. Like I took a summer class, and just getting everything done. I'm actually going to graduate a year early in the midst of all of this. I'm graduating this fall, which it doesn't make any
Which
sense.
is great because a lot of people would say, okay, and things are rocking now. I'm going to take some time off and pursue all this, but you're still getting the degree, which is good.
Yeah, for sure. And that's something my parents have been like strong advocates about. And I think it's important as well. I mean,
Weird
I think
that your parents would be strong advocates for you getting a degree while they're paying for school.
yeah.
Strange that. Go figure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it makes you a more rounded person. I mean, you're taking classes about all sorts of different stuff, and yeah, I think it's important.
Well, and you're like you said, you're going to be in class with the next Spielberg. These are you're going to be your
Yeah,
people, your
right.
generation.
And also, it's a wonderful opportunity to actually work. I mean, unless you've already unless it's an experience like you where you're working professional and you've done it, where else are you going to do the work? I mean, you can't. It's not. Acting isn't like playing instruments. You can't sit and rehearse in your house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have to have other people, and you have to get up and do it. And what better way than do it at a good theater arts and film program?
100%.
So your dad's a pilot, so this is how the whole flying situation happened. Wait, before I ask about that, I want you to tell me about the booking Descendants. Now, was this an audition like everything else? Like, was it on tape? Was it just like one of many, and then this is the one? Was there callbacks? Give me the whole thing.
Yeah, Danny, have you ever been to the Hannon Apartments at LMU? Have you gotten a chance to walk around?
I don't know where those are, but probably
Okay, well,
I've walked around the entire university.
If you go to Hannon 109, that is the room where it all originated. And yeah, it's a horrible room. I'm so happy I'm not there anymore. But I got the audition. It was called The Pocket Watch, and it was a movie musical. And I had no idea it was Descendants. I didn't know what I was auditioning for.
And you'd seen the movies, right? Because I'd see them a few times. Because again, my daughter's the right age for the first ones and the second ones and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up watching them with my sister, so I was by far a fan. I mean, I remember watching it and being like, I could totally do this. I just never thought I would have the opportunity to.
And it's such a trip, isn't it? It's so weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you're like, now it's me, now I'm doing it. Isn't it? It's the oddest thing in the world.
So you walk into the room and
crazy.
you know right away that it's not called Pocket Watch. You know it's something else after that.
Well, here's the deal. Actually, I mean, we're still working with post-COVID times.
Wait, Peter, who's putting you on tape?
I am myself on self-tape.
But no, who are you reading with?
My mom.
Buddy? Is it your
My
roommate?
mom.
Nice.
Oh, your mom.
Yeah.
Wait, so your mom comes to LMU. She's in California, and she's helping you put on tape.
She was in Minnesota. Most of my self-tapes, I have my parents FaceTime in. I put them next to the camera, and we roll.
Get out.
Yeah, it's fun. It's super convenient.
There's no
too.
latency with the reading? I guess
No.
not.
I mean,
not
if you have good
FaceTime.
service.
That's great. So your mom read with you
Yep.
off camera, and you read for the Pocket
The
Watch.
Pocket Watch. Yep.
And how long before you heard anything?
Well, I heard back from the casting the next morning, and they
What?
they were like,
That never happens.
right? It's actually happened like a couple times for me, which is crazy.
Well, I'm sorry. Let me refrain. It never happens for me. Go on. No, go on.
Yeah, I mean, we heard back, and they were like, keep him around. We're interested. Let's get him a callback. And I did the callback. I did the callback in my college dorm, which was probably
Was it a Zoom callback?
It was, and it was the most daunting callback I've ever done in my life because here's what we're working with. You got two other roommates sleeping in the apartment with you. You can't be sure that they're not going to make noise. You got place above you, to the side of you, and then on your computer you have a Zoom call with like the executives of Disney, like the casting, the director, all these people. And you're like,
no stress.
Were they all in boxes
Yeah.
on the Zoom? Were they all in boxes?
they're all.
And then you saw your. What I was
Yep.
going to say is a big set of boxes, right?
Yep.
Now, when you read, did they all turn off their cameras so you just saw their names?
Yeah, they did, except for the
Yeah.
reading.
So did you have to show them your vocals at any point during the early process? Because
Yeah.
singing's a big. You did.
Yep, I sent in a singing tape and a dancing tape as well.
That was part of the requirement. You basically put together a singing tape and a dancing tape. And what did you have background? Did you have a backing track, or did you just sing a cappella?
Yeah, I think I sang a cappella for the singing, and for the dancing, I threw on like a song that I think fit the moves that I was busting.
Sure, the moves, of course, the busted moves.
Yep,
of
the
Peder
busted
Lindell.
moves.
Sure.
So now, Peter, I'm looking at YouTube, right? It's 6.2 million, 8.7 million, 8.3 million. These are the number of people who have viewed the trailer. Are you prepared for what could come, what will come of this in terms of just notoriety?
I'll answer that. Yes.
Well, Danny's right. I'm ready, but
Yes.
I have no idea what's coming. Honestly, I don't know what's coming. But whatever does come, I'm so happy and so grateful that we're just gonna take it day by day.
Well, what's nice is if you need a break, you could just jump in your plane and take off somewhere for a little while.
Yeah, literally.
And
I'm leaving.
download.
Yeah, I'm right by LAX, so it's perfect.
There you go.
I'm out.
What about flying? Talk about how obviously your dad is a pilot, and so you became interested in it through him. But when did it start to become something that you wanted to do? Did Dad say, "Hey, you want to go out on the front?" You're like, "All right." Like, was it one of those, or were you the one that, "Dad, can I go? Dad, can I fly?
No,
Dad, can I hold
no,
it? Dad, can I go?"
there was a pilot in my hometown in Northfield, and he recently got a Grumman Tiger, an AG5B single prop engine 4-seater, and he was looking for a co-owner. So
As one does.
as one does in their 50s, midlife crisis, right? And
Fuck off. I'm sorry. Go on. No, go on. You were saying.
and he reached out to my dad to join in, and fast forward, they decided to do it, and as soon as we got that, I had to.
So Peter, just to interrupt you, is there like a small airport in your area?
Here's the deal. You don't know it, but there are thousands of airports in the U.S. They're everywhere. There are grass strips. They're like pretty much every decently sized town. There's an airport. So it's a whole world that people just don't know about.
So on the weekends, you would go to the airstrip with Pops and go flying, right? And how did that conflict with soccer schedule, hockey schedule?
Dude, I was
practices?
a wrestler, and that was like, you had to be all in on it, man. That was
Well, that's what I'm asking, because I mean, the kid obviously has had a lot of activities. How did this fall into it, and how did it take precedent? Because obviously it's important to you now.
Yeah, it sort of just took a space in my life, and as soon as after my first lesson, I became addicted to it. And just the feeling of flying, like controlling a small plane, like up in the air, like 10,000 feet up, is the wildest feeling.
I'm like, look at me, I'm white knuckling the conversation.
All right, well, this is a lovely time to share your story with
Peter,
him, Jason.
So I haven't flown for many years. I used to fly.
Yeah.
A lot of people think it's because of 9/11. It wasn't because of 9/11. I just have this vision that that's how I'm gonna leave the world. It's going to be in a plane crash. So I haven't flown. I live in Massachusetts. When I have to do meetings out in LA, I drive out to LA or I take the train. So I want you, a pilot, to tell me, somebody who doesn't fly, why I shouldn't be scared to fly.
Yeah, I'm so happy I'm here today because we're going to break it down, Jason.
All right, give it to me.
You have no reason to be afraid. The reason maybe that you're creating this like visualization is because a lot of the media is saturated with these scary events where there's like accidents and stuff. But the reality is, I mean, so much stuff can go wrong with a plane before you would even have to worry about there being a problem. The reality is that you got two wings and you lose the engines, they blow up, you're still flying, you're a glider. And you glide.
You're not making me feel better. You just said if the engines blow up, Peter. So I'm thinking first I would probably, go up in the big planes. So let's start there with the big planes.
Yeah, I mean, they're quite safe. I mean, really the only thing you have to be worried about in those is turbulence, I guess. And then you just have to buckle your seatbelt and you won't hit your head.
You live in LA now, obviously. The highways there are crazy. Do you feel safer in a plane than you do on the 405?
For sure. Yeah, I think you got to be a little crazy to go on the 405.
Peter's quite familiar with the 405 if he goes to LMU, I can promise you that.
Yep.
So you kind of gave us a sense of the feeling. So give us you're up, you're in control, you have the controls in your hands. What is that feeling like, being able to fly that plane on your own at 16?
It's awesome. Well, I wasn't flying until I was 17, but
yeah, Jay.
Yeah. Well, I have to put that out there because there's going to be some sort of aviation hater.
We want to be accurate. We want to be accurate. I mean, you're going to get DMs that are like,
literally. And I'll just send a voice message back up.
By the way, that's how they all read to me. Even the good ones.
That's good. Yeah, that's really good.
Go on.
It's so much fun. I mean, I love the world of it. Like I love the communications. Like I love saying like I don't know, Fargo Tower, Tiger 630 Foxtrot Tango inbound for the option. Like talking like that. Like it's just fun and
I
like
know, but most people your age are just doing it in their room
yeah.
with headphones instead of a headset. You're actually doing it for real. What was that like when you were like you realized that you were actually in control of the plane in the air for the first time by yourself? I mean, obviously you had a co-pilot, but for the first time you were actually handling the plane by yourself and you knew it.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. It was kind of dangerous. I started like doing turns and like pretending I was in like a fighter jet simulation.
Oh, so you're a normal kid.
Well, I like one of my favorite things to do while flying. Okay, I'm not going to talk about that.
Sure. Yeah, sure. By the way, that was very good. You're going to go far, kid. Nice. That was very good. Excellent editing.
the FAA just popped up, and they were taking a hard peek at me.
Oh,
and your agents.
Very good.
And your agents.
Very good. So here you are. You're flying for the first time, and you haven't. Have you at this point landed or taken off?
Yeah. When you mean like when I was?
No, I mean when you were up there. Do you start with being in the air and driving the plane, flying the plane?
Are you talking about my first flight?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Am I?
Yeah, I think what you're saying is that
I don't know.
Do you have to start with the easier stuff first, the control, and then because everybody says the takeoff and the landings are the most dangerous. Right?
Yeah, I mean, landing is by far the most complicated part. It's a very intricate and probably the most fun part. Takeoff is quite easy. You just put the power in and you pull up eventually.
Eventually.
So I don't know. My instructor, Mason Lindenfelser, incredible guy. He just had me do everything right away. Like I got on the plane, first flight, he's like, take off. You put the power in and we'll figure it out. And I landed right away. And it worked out perfectly. I mean, it instilled a sense of like the ability to do this in
confidence,
me.
A
confidence, I guess.
So your dad flies the big uns, the big planes. What is the farthest you've ever flown, piloted?
Yeah, I think the farthest I've flown is down to like the what's it called, the Smoky Mountains in down on the East Coast. Yeah, over there. That was really cool.
I mean, that's just incredible. So were you up there with your dad? Is that like a trip you guys did together?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's been the best like family bonding, like you're in a plane for hours and you just get to hang out and go on little trips. I love it.
Did your dad pick flights to LA just so he can be in town and spend time with you when you're at school?
He does.
Oh, that's awesome.
He's actually based in San Francisco, so he's not too far when he's doing work, but sometimes he'll get a trip that routes him in through LA on his way home, which is fun.
Cool. That's fantastic. So how did you actually get licensed, and when did this? You were still in high school, right?
Yeah, I was.
I mean, because I make up. You need a lot of hours. Am I insane?
Totally. I think you need like somewhere near like 60 to 80 hours of flying before you can get your pilot's license.
Yeah. So how did when and how? When did you find time for all of this?
Looking back on it, I don't know. It was like after school. Like after school, I would drive to the airfield and we'd do like an hour and a half flight, and then I'd do it on the weekends and just loaded it all in. It was the private pilot's license happened all in a summer. You got it done in a summer, and then I moved forward, and then I did the instrument rating, which is a really fun form of flying where you fly solely by your instruments. So when you're in like a cloud and you can't tell which way is up or down because everything is white, you're flying like just by looking down, and that was a new level of proficiency. And I moved on to my commercial rating, and now I'm working on my multi-engine rating, so I can fly with multiple engines.
Well, I'm putting it out into the universe, Peter. Here it is. Ready? Peder Lindell, World War II fighter pilot movie.
Oh my God! By the way, you don't need a stuntman. Just like now, Peter can fly it. Yeah,
that would be awesome. That would be really cool.
So have you had, again, this is coming from me, the guy who doesn't fly, but have you had any scary moments in the air where you're like, maybe I'll take some time off from this for a little while?
Yep, that's happened. I remember
Of course you asked that question.
How could I not?
It's a fair question. Especially when you're learning, you're sort of pushing the limits. I mean, not to an unsafe extent, but pushing the limits of yourself. Some maneuvers that we do when we're training for the private pilot's license are stalls. And one of the types of stalls that we do is a power on stall. And if this is the airplane, I know you guys don't have video here, but you're
That's right.
pitching
We'll
up
describe it. Go on.
high and you add a lot of power. So you're going like straight up into the air until you lose airspeed and you stall the aircraft so it falls out of the air. And if you're playing yaws to the left or to the right, whilst you do a stall, you enter what's called a spin. And as a student, that scares, for lack of a better word, the shit out of you.
Sure.
And I was doing one of those, and I'm pitching up, and I'm adding power, and I get hit like by a gust. And as soon as I stall, I yaw to the left, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm entering a spin. And I go into it, and then I add power, and I push forward, and I get out of it, and my heart was beating. I never felt like that way. I flew right back to the airport, and I was like,
because you were aware that if the spin gets worse, you're in big trouble.
Totally. I mean, also like as a student, like with 20 hours, you know about them, but you don't know what to do when you get into them.
Yeah.
And so your instructor is with you during this process?
No, this is when I was going solo. Yeah, you get certified to go solo, and you're off on your own. You got to be careful. I mean, with
dude, he'll never fly again. I'm telling you right now, Peter, he's never flying.
So the plane is basically nose diving, and you said it yaws, and then it starts spinning. So the spinning is not a normal. It was the gust that caused the spin.
Yeah,
no, it can spin, but it can spin if it yaws anyway, right? Regardless.
Yeah,
of
if it yaws, you get the potential to enter a spin, and I didn't enter the spin, which I was very thankful for.
Okay, got it.
But with a multi-engine aircraft, though, with what I'm flying now, we're doing the same types of maneuvers. And if you enter a spin in a multi-engine aircraft, now I'm sorry, Jason, you might want to cover your ears. I don't know if you'll fly again.
I'm fascinated. Go
on. You will not recover. You will die. I think there's been about 7 instances of spins in multi-engine aircraft over the past, I don't know, let's say decade. Only one of them has survived.
Does multi-engine just mean bigger, Peter?
Yeah, well, multi-engine means you have 2 engines out on the wing.
Right.
And that's the problem, because when you're spinning, the forces make it impossible to exit out of the spin. You just like keeps adding on and on and on and on.
So your single engine is like the propeller base on the front of the plane?
Exactly.
Got it. Okay.
Yep. Peter, they're gonna know you when you as you continue to work. Your contract is going to be so thick with no, can't do that, can't fly, can't jump off cliffs, no dirt bike, motorcycle riding, no skiing, no snowboarding. I mean, you're gonna be an insurance nightmare, kid.
Yeah, well, we got to keep them on their toes, Danny.
Sure, and you do, and I'm sure you will, and. I have an audience question. This is a very special audience question because it comes from Jason's daughter.
7 years old.
Peter. Right on.
Very excited that I'm speaking to you today.
Ellie Burns asks, I love all the singing and dancing. Was it hard to learn the dance moves?
That was my favorite part. It was difficult, but we did what we like to call a Disney boot camp for about 2 weeks prior to filming. We hopped in with the choreographer, Ashley Wallen. He did Greatest Showman. I mean, absolutely incredible dancing choreography. And we drilled that. So like 6 to 8 hours a day, we were dancing. And whether you were a good dancer or the best dancer in the world, you got that in your bones and you were ready to rock at the end of those 2 weeks.
You're an athlete, and so you're used to cardio, but dancing's a different cardio, right? It's like it's exhausting your whole body. It's like boxing. Yeah,
it's very technical too. I mean, it's all about like the way that you're moving your body, and I feel like I learned so much because I'm not a professional dancer, but I can definitely dance. I grew up doing some dance, and like you said, I can move. So.
I quit. I'm just letting you know right now. I quit.
Is it the moment he pointed out the midlife crisis of older
it's
gents?
The fact that when I was 21 and I was a professional actor, I nowhere near had it on the ball like this kid. I mean, he's got it figured out, man.
How about stopping himself when he knew he was saying something?
Oh, it was incredible. I mean, and the look on his face was just like, yeah, no, I'll be editing that out. I mean, no professional editor needed.
Nope. And he just has his shit together, which makes me want to, go out into my day and maybe get some of my shit together. I got some work to do.
Well, I just want to know how he managed time. I mean, I just want to ask him. So can you give me some pointers on how you manage your time? Because you've done an incredible job of learning to be skilled in something very difficult like flying, and also juggling trying to get a degree and a professional career as a actor where you have to sing and dance as well. It's overwhelming, man. It's incredible.
I think he just has a time machine because he said he's graduating a year early now as well,
And he's graduating a year early. No, I really quit. I just want you all to know. This was fun. I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast, but I quit.
Music by Denny Nucci. Produced and edited by the same two people you heard hosting this show because they have no friends.